But the whole situation with Lil Nas using devil imagery, it coinciding with Danile Bregoli's choice to set up an OnlyFans account, is that this is really, really 90s. So whereas Lil Nas is like causing outrage like Marilyn Manson did in the 90s, Danile Bregoli is doing, well, her team is doing something, should I say, that is very reminiscent of sort of page 3 girls. She is kind of like Linsey McKenzie. She is 2021's Linsey McKenzie now.
Satan! 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 Satan!
Well, welcome, and hail Satan. About a year ago, I remember that it seemed like time had gone backwards. It seemed like 2020, around about, I don't know, April, May, it seemed like it was a repeat of 2016. Black Lives Matter came back, and old YouTube beats from 2016 were going on again. I mean, it was very backwards looking. It was looking backwards. But all of a sudden, here we are in 2021, at the end of March, beginning of April. And it's now, I don't know, 1995, maybe 96, if I remember correctly. And what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, there is outrage over Satanism being in music, the degradation of society. And also, if you're familiar with Danile Bregoli, aka Bad Baby, aka the Cash Me Outside girl, she does have a lot of, in such a short period of time, she acquired many names. And you may have noticed that she's suddenly a woman now and is on OnlyFans, as is now tradition for all women when they come of age. I think it used to be, I'm not sure what used to happen when they came of age. Maybe they got a pony or a little tiara saying, I'm a woman now. But now it just means you just get your clatter out on the internet, I suppose. It is quite an amusing time. The main thing of amusement for me is with Lil Nas X, okay, and his song Montero, which apparently is his real name, is Montero, which apparently is a type of Ford or something. So he's named after, like Mercedes, I can understand. BMW, I've never met a person called BMW. Mercedes, though, for sure. Porsche, but like Montero. What's this? Citroen AX. You're going to name someone Citroen AX? Would that be a good name for someone? Anyway, so his song Montero has obviously caused hype. It's hype. It's just caused hype. I would like to say it's called outraged. And it's also caused elation in the lavender community, shall we say. But what's great about it and what's bad about it is what interests me the most. This is like the cutie situation again, where it seemed like the balance of the universe had been restored. So with cuties, I mean, look, the cuties hill is not, if you watch my podcast about the cuties situation, it is not a hill I am willing to die on, that's for sure. But anyway, the cuties thing, suddenly conservatives and liberals were doing exactly what they should be doing. It's like the balance of power was restored. The conservatives were outraged and the liberals were defending art. And it was like, well, that's how it's supposed to be, isn't it? This is fantastic, good. No, that defending cuties, but it was kind of a good sign. And here, once again, we find ourselves with, the most triggered of authoritarian right-wingers being outraged about Lil Nas X descending on a stripper pole into hell and giving Beelzebub himself a little lap dance in his little shorts. And it has caused, but the amount of outrage it's caused is not a lot, but obviously it's Twitter, so therefore it's lots of outrage, because that's how you gauge things now. Even though it's like a minuscule amount of people who are probably that outraged, And all the liberals are praising it, going, yeah, in your face, religion, with your bigotry. Yeah, in your face. Now look, I've seen bits of the video. I ain't got too much time to watch music videos in full unless they're like naughty ones, because then I'm actually interested. If it was I don't know, it was Seven Streeter lap dancing on the devil, I'd be interested. But I don't want to see no dude lap dancing on nothing. Not even lap dancing on my worst enemy. Do I want to see that? It's just, I just don't want to see it. But as far as the video goes, it's a great idea. I mean, apparently he grew up with a gospel singing father who was very religious, and obviously being homosexual in such a cultural upbringing is a bit of a no-no. So he ascends to heaven and he's told, no gays allowed. And then he goes down the pole into hell, and that's where he belongs, in hell. Because all the gays are going to burn in hell. That's what the religious nutters say, don't they? All religious nutters say these things across the board. There's one thing consistent with religious nuttery. It's choices of who will burn in hell, or whatever version of it may be. Some don't even wait for them to go to hell to burn them. They just burn them on planet Earth. Which must be awkward if there is a heaven and they turn up and say, how did you die? I was burnt. I'll have to have a word about that. So conceptually, yeah, I kind of like it. It's cool. Anything that throws a middle finger up, to the religious nonsense that goes on out there when it comes to bigotry is absolutely fine with me. But the problem is the whole factor of it being stunning and brave, and the fact that it's considered to be controversial, and that it's going against the grain, and it's doing all these things that people are saying it's doing, but it's not really. Now, first of all, some people have said it's not stunning and brave to come out in 2021, and for the most part, it's not at all. Except in the rap community. Now, purists would argue, well, he's not even a rapper. He's a pop singing person. Rap has ascended. Rap is now multi-genre, multi-style. It's not, rap is bigger than rap now, all right? Hip-hop is bigger than hip-hop. It's transcended, okay? Ascended, transcended, whatever. But the point remains that being a rapper and coming out as gay is very, very unusual. And, in my lifetime, just before I was born, we had a first female prime minister, and then in America they had the first black president. These are things that people said, oh, it will never happen in my lifetime. I don't think I'll ever see it in my lifetime. Even Margaret Thatcher said she wouldn't see it in her lifetime, and she became prime minister. But these things happen, and they're kind of like not really a big deal. But like a gay rapper, an openly gay rapper, that's crazy. That's crazy. Is hip-hop notoriously homophobic? Yes. And I hate to say it, there's a huge thing in the black community, in America especially, that, when it comes to any of the Caribbean communities, but when it comes to religion and being gay, ooh, now that is dangerous. Because you'll see the memes going around, won't you? They'll have a picture of Lil Nas X in you've seen his pink cowboy outfit when he's looking particularly fruity, and they'll hold it. This is your Nas. And then they'll have Nas, in a pair of Timberland boots and a fucking puffer jacket and a hat on like that, like going with a bottle of Hennessy. This is our Nas. It's like, what is the point you're trying to make? I think the whole thing of being a rapper and being like hardcore is a fallacy anyway. You're bloody entertainers. Go rap for me. I don't want you to go shoot my neighbor. You know what I mean? And some of the, there's been a few gay gangsters out there that you would not want to fuck with. So I don't even understand the whole concept of it. It's just about, rap is supposed to be thugged out, I suppose. And there's nothing fugged out about, I guess, wearing arseless pink chaps and a sparkly cowboy hat, I suppose. I guess that's just not really thuggish, unless things get really strange and it does become some sort of thuggishness. But coming out in the hip hop community as gay is something I didn't think I'd see in my lifetime. I absolutely didn't. I really didn't. I was very surprised. Although, he isn't, it's not like he, we got Young Thug, who's very androgynous about it, about his sexuality. Although he does have 6 children with 6 different women, so I guess his heterosexuality is proven. But the way he dresses and stuff, would make people go, oh! And obviously all the conspiracy heads who have theories about the music industry wanting to turn all black men gay. That if you ever want to go down a fantastic rabbit hole, if you can still find the videos, Gay Hip Hop Exposed, I highly recommend it. There's like almost 100 videos. It is just pure lunacy. But, it's entertaining lunacy. I don't know why YouTube banned all these videos, because they're fucking entertaining. Only proper weirdos, actually most people are proper weirdos now. I was going to say only proper weirdos would believe it all. But that is everyone planet Earth now, I suppose, and maybe it should be banned because, they should just take out people's eyes and make them deaf. I think people have been completely brainwashed for that to be wanted, perhaps. What a funny world we live in. But the point is, it is kind of a big deal in the hip-hop community. It is a big deal, for sure. I acknowledge that. But culturally, across the board, culturally, the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal at all. There's no bravery in it at all, being openly homosexual. But the problem is nowadays they overly hype everything as if we are living in the 1950s. It's literally like that. There's this whole desire to shove it in people's faces because they think everyone's not cool with it because they constantly have to fight. But it's most of the battles have been won now. And you're just fighting invisible enemies because you have to justify your existence. Look, there's certain advocacy groups out there, and there's certain groups out there that fight for the rights of certain demographics of people who have been oppressed, who don't need to exist anymore, unfortunately. It's kind of the same as having a save the dodo. Imagine the dodo is extinct as fuck. But if there was a group, we need to save the dodo, even though the dodo has been extinct for over 100 years or something. It's kind of on that level. It's the dodo's dead as fuck. No! The dodo's still out there. They'll just tell you the dodo's still out there. They'll do crude photoshops of some jungle clearing. They'll get one of their mates who can do a bit of CGI on the old After Effects to create a crude-looking dodo and go, look, there's a dodo. See? Now you need to donate us money because we're trying to save the dodo. It's are you sure that's a dodo? Yes, that's a dodo. A real dodo? Yeah. It's kind of on that level. But some people just have this thing in their heads as if we are living in the 1950s and it's just so shocking for someone to be gay. I was at school in the 90s and there was openly gay people at school. Openly gay when it was illegal to be homosexual under the age of 16. In fact, the village near where I lived, back in those days, they had their first male queen, they had this fair and you'd have queen of the fair. And for the first time, and this was in 2005, or 2006, and they had their first queen, male queen, a queen, and he was a queen. He was gay, and he was 14. And at that time, they hadn't, it was kind of a big. You couldn't get into a homosexual relationship, under the age of 18 at that point, I think. But here he was, the first openly gay queen of the fair, and he paraded around, and he wore the crown and all that stuff. And this is deep in the countryside, where people Some people still burn people because they have mobile phones because they think they're witches. It's that level. Because that's how you city folk with your lattes and your 2 pairs of shoes and your fucking, your big snooty nose on you. That's how you view country people. Well, guess what? They're totally fine with homosexuals. It's fine. And guess what? They're not racist neither. Right? They just don't see as many people as you see. They don't see as many gays, as many ethnic minorities, as many different religions. Because no one moves to the countryside, do they? Well, why are they going to move there? What are they going to do there? Do you know what I mean? Well, why are you going to come over from Pakistan and say, oh, I'm going to be a farmer? Well, you're not, are you? You probably left your farm. I was like, I don't want to be a fucking farmer no more. We'll go to England where it's cool and not be a farmer. Anyway, I've digressed a little bit. But that's the point. So it's just not, but they try to make out as if we're all shocked and surprised. I remember in the 90s, I remember the first lesbian and gay kisses on television. And it wasn't a big deal. It was like, okay, they've kissed, right. But the media just hyped it right up. They always got to hype it right up. And they'll come out clapping, going, God, that's so stunning and brave. There's so many openly gay people. I mean, when Philip Schofield comes out in his 60s or whatever, it's like, why? You could have come out in the 80s, you fucking idiot. When he was presenting children's television, when I watched him on children's TV, in the broom cupboard. So that means I grew up watching a black man and a gay man. That's who raised me on the television. Who used to introduce the cartoons and stuff. Grange Hill. Here's Grange Hill. That's what I grew up on. It would have been totally cool. Then no one would have cared. But no, you got to make a big deal out of it. It's like, I don't know what they think is what decade we're living in. This is the 21st century. We're in the third decade now. We're in the third decade of the 21st century. We're in Star Trek right now. This is Star Trek. Like, this is where we're going, no, the bigotry and some people still aren't cool with homosexuality, but like, no gays are being locked up in jail because it's legal. You can get married. You can have all the same bullshit that everyone else can have. It's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely fine. And people who aren't into homosexuality in general aren't going around burning them and stoning them to death. That happens in nutter countries that these people seem to applaud. Go, oh, well done, nutter country. When Iran says, we're seeing a lot of people transition to women. Why? Because they think homosexuality is a sin. So it's better if they turn them into a bird. It's better for the Quran. Do you get it yet? They're applauding them like idiots. Going, do you get it? So it's not really a big deal, but people just like to think this is somehow winding up loads of people. I think the majority of the conservative people that were pissed off about, I'd hate saying his name, Lil Nas X, it's too much. Montero, call it his real name, our boy Montero, is the satanic thing, because that's what they're supposed to do. Conservatives are supposed to not be cool with the devil. That's kind of hand in hand with conservatism and religious conservatism and rock and roll. This is nothing. It's just bizarre how they think this is something so new. It's so weird. It's fucking weird. These people are weirdos, man. So, and is it stunning and brave? Is he making a big point about it, or was it really to sell some overly priced pairs of trainers? Yeah, it was. It was a great marketing ploy, because that's kind of what he does. There's a big difference between, Marilyn Manson in the 90s and his sort of promotion of Satanism, because he was actually a member of the California Church of Satan and believed in that form as not actually in worshipping the devil, but Satan. That version of what Satanism is about empowering yourself and believing in the individual, and the Aleister Crowley type business. Jay-Z's well into Aleister Crowley. A lot of people are like, so he actually believed in this kind of thing. I mean, a lot of it was theatre, obviously, because it's the music industry. Okay. But Marilyn Manson wasn't selling a pair of trainers. He lived that shit. And this guy ain't living that shit. It's just, you know, he made Old Town. Let's not forget, he made Old Town Road. He was very meticulous about how he made it. He made it a certain length of time so it could, because we live in the streaming, in a world that the music industry that's powered by streaming. So he worked out how many he could get, so many plays because of the length of time. Therefore, the more plays you get, the more chance you got of getting to number one. Plays. And he did it by remixes, and he studied all these different things to create this perfect hit. Like this guy is more business, internet business oriented than he is a fucking artist. Okay, as great as the music video is and all the visuals and blah 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 blah, but this is all marketing. Like it's as shallow and hollow as that. And I think people going out and praising it, being, oh yeah, this is a great step for homosexuality and stuff. This is just bullshit. I mean, just see the bullshit. This is the music industry. The music industry has no soul. It is the most vacuous and disgusting industry probably on planet Earth. It's worse than people trafficking. Because at least people traffickers, you know, recognize that people are humans. The music industry is terrible. And this is so old hat. Like, going back to, like, even the fucking 30s. Yeah, the artist, what was his name? I've got to look his name up. There was a blues artist who was sort of fairly well known. What's his name? See how professional I am? You know, you're probably wondering about this thing. That's because I busted up the interface. My microphone interface had to be obliterated with my fists because it wasn't behaving right, and I had to teach it a lesson. That's actually what happened. I'm rambling now. That's it. Tommy Johnson built up this persona of being, you know, a sinister kind of guy, and he you know, spread a story around that he went to a crossroads down in the Mississippi Delta and sold his soul to the devil so he could be a great guitar player. You know, the devil and rock and roll, and hip hop is the new rock and roll, is synonymous to Elvis swinging his hips. This is in the 50s. Elvis's hips were enough to outrage people, and for pastors across the South to go condemning him as he's the devil. And then going up to things like, whether it was Black Sabbath or Led Zeppelin, you know, with their flirtations with witchcraft and worshipping the devil and playing, you know, the whole thing about playing records backwards, you know. Oh, you play this fucking Led Zeppelin record backwards and it says, "Hail Satan, worship Satan." Like, this stuff is old. And the reason why I was bringing back the 90s, you know, is Marilyn Manson. We've been through all this stuff. But the thing is, the controversy, if you look at the controversy between Marilyn Manson and Lil Nas X that's going on, it is so minuscule. We are living in the 50s again. On the one hand, we're repeating what things happened in the 90s, and on the other hand, we're also living in the 50s again, because that's as much as it takes to outrage people, is imagery that we've seen over and over again. It's not like we've never seen this before. The devil. Oh, it's a guy lap dancing on the devil. We've seen worse. Have you ever watched any like adult anime stuff? That stuff's fucked. We've seen far worse, so that's ridiculous. But the problem is the side who are championing this, as they should be, because they're the liberals, so they're supposed to champion artistic expression. They are like the pastors of the 1950s, because all it would take to annoy them and to make them fucking lose their shit is for one rapper to wear a MAGA hat. That's all you'd have to do, or to go, "I think Donald Trump's okay." That's all it would take, and you would see just a splurge of like, they would just go mental. Lil Nas X shaking his ass on the devil is nothing in comparison to Marilyn Manson, because Marilyn Manson, I mean, we don't have to go into all the ins and outs of this crazy shit he did, but the guy was also blamed for inspiring a school shooting. If Lil Nas X, our boy Montero, if someone pointed out and accused him of inspiring a school shooting, I believe that that's not going to be. He's not selling no trainers off the back of that. There's a whole bunch of lunatics who are going to shut him down for that. This is not the same thing, but they're making it out to be the same thing. It's crazy, but it is funny. It's like we just haven't moved past the whole devil thing, and everyone builds whatever narrative out of it they want. They're like, oh, it's because he's gay and it's a problem. It's like, oh, shut up. No one cares. It's so weird that we live in, like I said, we're in the fucking 21st century. We've come into the third decade of the 21st century. And people feel the need to announce their sexuality. It's really bizarre. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, no one cares. The only time you need to announce your sexuality is if someone is coming on to you and you're not interested in their sex. That's the only time you really need to say it, is go, yeah, I'm gay, I'm not interested. You go, oh, I'm straight, I'm not interested. And then start going, but how do you know if unless you tried? That's when you push them. You go, oi, that's a hate, like, you can't even push them away now because apparently that's a hate crime, but you have to. Some people are there's some very strong people out there. Anyway, it's as ridiculous as announcing you're straight. Like, who goes around and says, oh, I'm straight, hi, you come for the, I don't know, you put it in your Twitter bio. I'm an artist and I'm straight. Do you need to walk up to someone and go, hey, I'm straight. Did you know? I think, all right, Mr. Straight. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Straight. You're like, yeah, well, being straight, I'm straight. He's so straight. I'm straight. Like, just going on about how straight you are. The same, like, going out, like, no one cares. Did you get it yet? Like, no one actually cares. Did you know I'm gay? I said, did you know this is the future and no one cares? Like, it's not a big deal. I don't know what you think is going to happen to you. Like, the religious nutter police are going to come around and beat you down. That happens in other places. So, sticking your finger up to a religion that has no clout as well isn't particularly stunning and brave. But like I said, in those kind of circles, in that community, it is more of a big deal. But in the grand scheme of things, across the board culturally, it's nothing. It's not the same as sticking your finger up to Islam. And I know, and Islam's has been under the microscope way too much. But now, like, Islam is not under the microscope no more. It's doing okay. It's got protection now. So, like, sticking your finger up to Islam, which is a religion that tolerance for homosexuality. I mean, that's something that doesn't get addressed too often, does it? I mean, they'll get outraged. I mean, they didn't even want gay teachers teaching their kids, like, it's okay to be gay. And I fully support their right to not want their kids to be taught about stuff. Like, it's their kid. But at the same time, not much condemnation. Condemnation. That's the new term we're using. Not much condemnation coming out there, was there? No, not really. If you had someone who was following the Muslim faith and did what he did, what our boy Montero did, fuck me. Now then you're going to see some real outrage. And then you're going to see some true bravery. And like I said, a lot of people bang on about Islam and go, Islam, bacon, I love bacon. I'm like, oh, it's fucking boring. But facts are facts. The evidence is there. Like, there's some match. When it comes to nutters, they got some prime rib nutters out there. It's a fact. And the authorities and the establishment and the majority of the press and celebrity and musicians will not allow you to stick your finger up to that religion when it comes to calling out a lot of the iffy bigotry that exists within it. So, the double standard still exists. Here we are, it's the double standard. You got one lot. I've seen people, cussing out right-wing Christians, and saying, oh, look at you, your bigotry is so obvious against our boy Montero and his right to put on little booty shorts and give the devil a lap dance. So you got that going on. And then at the same time, they're saying, but they're applauding the fact that a bunch of Muslim parents are upset about someone showing the Charlie Hebdo cartoon in school. And they're saying, yeah, well, that's wrong. That's totally wrong. How dare you? How dare you insult a religion in such a yeah? How dare you offend a religion? It's like these people are just stupid. The double standard that they have is just it's just so brazen. And I'm not saying that conservatives don't have some double standards going on. Clearly they do. I mean, Jesus Christ, we've been seeing it most of our lives, but it's not. But like this is, like fucking shut. Basically, all of them would need to shut up.
Satan, 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 Satan.
But the whole situation with Lil Nas and him using devil imagery, it coinciding with Danile Bregoli's choice to set up an OnlyFans account, literally, I think, 5 or 6 days after her 18th birthday, is that this is really, really 90s. So whereas Lil Nas is like causing outrage like Marilyn Manson did in the 90s, Danile Bregoli is doing, well, her team is doing something, should I say, that is very reminiscent of sort of page 3 girls and young, attractive women from the 90s themselves. She is kind of like Linsey McKenzie. She is 2021's Linsey McKenzie now. Now, what does that mean? I mean, do you know Linsey McKenzie? Do you know what happened there? Well, I'll tell you if you're unfamiliar. I used to be well into Linsey McKenzie as a young boy. She's about, I think, a year or so older than me, maybe, or 2 years older than me. Linsey McKenzie is a very well-endowed young woman. She had great tits. Okay, I ain't gonna lie. She was a page 3 model initially, and she did dabble a little bit of pornography. But she was a brunette girl. I thought she was very attractive, and she had great tits. But Linsey McKenzie got discovered when she was 15 years old. Now, Linsey was paraded around in the tabloid papers that used to show exposed breasts, such as The Sun, The Daily Sport, and The Daily Star, this kind of thing. And they did so when she was 15, but they didn't show her naked breasts. But they showed her and said, "Look at these, look at well-endowed Linsey," when she was 15. And what happened was there was a countdown. They did a countdown. Like, go look it up. You can find this. Now, you won't be able to find the photographs or videos that she did when she was 16, because that is now illegal, but we're getting to that, because they changed the age. But there was a countdown. And every day in the newspaper, it was like day 5. Maybe, I don't know what they counted down from, but from whenever they found her and when, we're counting down to when you can see Linsey's knockers legally. Okay. And every day the number was dropping. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Titties! And this is what happened. This is what happened in the 90s. What an incredibly liberal and and freely expressive society we were back then. Because now that kind of thing would, I don't know, have your head chopped off. Although, of course, it's perfectly acceptable to, genitally mutilate 11-year-olds now, apparently, from what I've been told. What a controversial thing to say. Well, who cares? So at that point, there was this countdown, and then on her 16th birthday, you could buy the newspaper and see her breasts and masturbate as much as you wanted to. That's a thing that happened. That's a real thing. They did a similar sort of countdown with Charlotte Church. Well, Charlotte Church didn't get naked or nothing, but I think as soon as she turned 16, she got Rear of the Year. What a wonderful 16th birthday present. Now, you can be in two camps about this kind of thing. You can be incredibly liberal and and believe in self-expression and the empowerment of womanhood, or blah blah blah. Or you also could be going a bit more conservative, saying this is pretty sordid. Where do I sit on it? Like, I sit in the middle of a lot of things. I can see both sides. Unless it's lunatic behavior, then I have no interest in it, or it's brainwashing. But Danile Bregoli has done the same thing, because literally 8 days in, she has an OnlyFans account, and from what I understand of it, I mean, like, I'm not looking it up. I went on her Instagram and I saw there was a promo post about it. And apparently she's made $1 million in one day, so she says. Which, I mean, if that's true, Jesus, we have not moved on at all. Society, they like to tell you that society is moving forward in certain ways, and it has, but in other ways it hasn't at all. We're kind of very stagnant as a species. But it's the same story. Now, obviously, she's not when she was 16, it's when she was 18, but that's the legal age now. And I think maybe it always has been in America. I'm not too sure. But it's literally days in. So this is planned. Because, I mean, you could set up an OnlyFans account very quickly. You can wake up one day and go, oh, fuck it. And you could probably be making bank by the evening. It's not that difficult. But she's had a team behind her working very hard to brand, to create this brand of hers that she developed from literally just saying something on the Dr. Phil show. And the next logical step was, people want to see your tits. Right. Now, Danile Bregoli herself is actually fairly well endowed. If you've noticed, maybe you haven't. I mean, even just talking about this is problematic. The whole thing is problematic. But there are some people who are greatly defending it. And there are some people who are very much outraged about it. I think most average people would be a bit, ooh. I mean, it's fine. Look, she's 18. She can do what she wants. But to be honest, it probably is a bit soon. I mean, people are getting younger and younger. And that is a fact. I don't want to moralize it over it too much. But it is interesting. The sort of what is the standard? What is the standard? Because it's just a few days after she turns 18. It's the same sort of thing. They didn't do a countdown, but it's like it was definitely planned. As soon as you're old enough, boom, here we go. Like the Linsey McKenzie thing. I mean, did they take those photos of her? Because it came out on her. Well, it's supposed to be her birthday. So they how fast back then could they have done the photo shoot and had the photos? Are they photographs of a 15-year-old's breasts? But it doesn't really matter because actually. When I was 16, I bought it was a softcore porn video that she'd done, and she's basically just skipping topless and stuff like that. And that was from when she was 16. Now, at that time, you could, with your parents' permission, you could do pornography at 16, and you could own pornography of 16-year-olds. But then they changed the law, I think, around 2002, 2003. I lent that video to a friend and never got it back. And I don't know what he did with it. But if I'd still been in possession of that video, and I didn't even know the law was changed, technically you would be in possession at that point of child pornography. It's a very weird. This is where we get into murky territory about the law, because the British law is kind of weird. It's like, so you can have sex at 16, you can get married at 16, you can join the army and shoot someone in the face at 16. You can be an 18-year-old, as an example, and then be having sex with a 16-year-old, and that's perfectly fine. But if you are in possession, so you've seen her tins, you've seen everything. You've sucked on her breasts, you've stuck your penis in her vagina. But if you have a photograph on your phone of your girlfriend who you have sex with, and you are 18 and she is 16, you're now technically in possession of child pornography. And if that all made sense, this is as much as I understand of it. So it just doesn't make sense, does it, really? Like, if she sends you a photo going, hey, babe, I'm waiting for you, and it's her naked, you're like, shit, don't send that again. Like, how awkward is that? It is just a weird one. But, like, morally, is it okay for Danile Bregoli to suddenly be on OnlyFans It was inevitable, I think, though. I'm pretty sure this was inevitable. But unfortunately, I mean, she hasn't made her career out of anything. What's the word? It's all been it's all just trash. It's trash. Like, and I don't mean that too disrespectfully, but I mean it's like she's made a career out of just gutter behavior. And you know, porn is in the gutter. You know, everyone enjoys it. You know, I'm not no prude. Like, come on, like, Jesus, people can do what the fuck they want. It's up to them. Cool. But there's definitely problems with it. Unfortunately, people don't seem to understand that there is a balance that needs to be maintained in the universe. And this is why, if you're super left or super right, you are an unbalanced person. And you are fighting against nature. Nature is beautiful and disgusting at the same time. Like, by design. It's violent, but it's also kind. Do you understand what I'm saying? Fire is destructive and also gives us sustenance. Fire is, you know, we cook with fire. We can. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, fire. Just think about fire, right? Fire gives us warmth. It cooks us food. But fire can also, well, kill you. Do you understand what I'm saying? But we're getting to a stage where we feel everything has to either be over there or over there. It's bad or it's good. And this it's just melting people's brains. The fact is, pornography can be destructive. It can be destructive for the people participating, and it can be very destructive for the young men who consume it. Studies are being done on this. There is some really bad shit going on. But no one really cares about how it's affecting young boys, do they? Because apparently they're all scum and need to burn in hell with Lil Nas. Lil Nas shouldn't burn in hell. But all the little straight boys need to burn in hell. I mean, you know. And just saying that makes me sad. You know, you could clip that and go, look at this guy. He's an alt-right nutter. Well, no, I'm not. You're the nutter in this equation, okay? I'm a perfectly well-balanced person. So you do have to maintain a balance with these things. You know, a little bit of pornography, fine. But we're not living in a culture where a little bit is what's going down. We're talking about subscription models. We're talking about continuous. You know, we're talking about content. Hey, I just uploaded my OnlyFans today, again. Subscription models, my friends. I'm not talking about back in the day when you'd have to like get one of your older mates to go buy one porno video that you'd share amongst you because you were all children without money. You know, it's not that kind of situation. We're talking about like it's been like eventually there's going to be a microchip in your brain just fucking firing OnlyFans into your brain. That's where we're headed. Wouldn't that be nice? You know, you can be at work and just watch OnlyFans in your head. Are you working? Yeah. Oh, catch me outside. It's Satan. People talk about the devil and the existence of the devil. But the devil is like, you know, Eddie Griffin tells a great little analogy about the devil, and he uses cheesecake as the example. It's great. Just go watch it. I'm not going to butcher it. But the devil, the representation of the devil is the thing that's making you go against your values and do things. The devil is laziness. The devil is apathy. The devil is envy. The devil is greed. The devil is hatred. The devil is being controlled by your emotions. The devil, there's many things. The devil is out there. And I think there's a strong case that from losing our way with religion, we have descended into kind of a sordid, fucked up, weirdo time. Now, religion isn't for me. I'm not into it at all. I don't like it. And, you know, the people who are sort of against religion, like the famous atheists, if you said, like, you know, Christopher Hitchens, and Ricky Gervais is another one who's a very staunch atheist. There are many, Stephen Fry is another one. There's many of these atheists out there who truly believe that you don't need religion to be a morally correct person. But But the thing is, these people are more like me, as in, I just don't follow crowds. I don't understand. I'm a loner or I'm a leader, but I can't be no follower. Like, it just doesn't suit me. The whole concept of it doesn't suit me. But majority of people need it. They do need it. Because look, when they haven't got religion, what do they have? They have political ideology. And it's just as insane. It's just as insane. It's full of just as many grifters, just as many hucksters, snake oil salesmen. You know, think about all, you know, your billionaire deep South American preachers with their private jets, your West African preachers with their private jets. You know, you got them. Then you got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That woman who wrote, what's that? White Fragility, or whatever it is. These people. There's no difference to these people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, whether it's a super right-wing preacher telling you you're going to burn in hell because you watched the Montero video, or a super, super liberal grifter saying, you know, I think we should beat our meat to Danile Bregoli when she's 12. These people are fucked. These people are grifters. They are true grifters, going around pointing fingers at other people, calling them grifters. Like, come on, man. And people they need some sort of substance in their life, and they need to believe in something, because at the moment they kind of don't know what they believe in, and they kind of believe in nothing. And it goes back to music. You see the old preachers and the old vicars and the ultra, you know, religious conservatives, they didn't like rock and roll because they thought it was going to corrupt the youth. And in some ways it has. In some ways it liberated people and did great things, and in other ways it did corrupt them, because that's the balance. That's the fucking balance. But sometimes it goes way to the other way, and we're kind of at that stage now. And I think the idol worship of musicians, in fact, the idol worship of celebrities in general, is terrible. Because for one, you know, I'm not saying like all religious leaders, as I've mentioned, like I'm no fan of these religious leaders or anything like that. But there are people out there who were, you know, followed by people who are people of substance. There's a few musicians who are people of substance. There's a few celebrities that are people of substance. But for the most part, like the majority of people who are just, you know, mindless sheep that follow whatever they're told to follow because that's how they've been conditioned to behave. And the majority of celebrities and musicians and singers and so forth are vacuous, narcissistic airheads. And you shouldn't be, you know, idol worshipping them at all, because they've got nothing to give you. They've got nothing to offer your life. Like, they're not going to enrich your life. They're not going to change your life. Lil Nas X sold some fucking trainers. Lil Nas X sold some trainers. He is not trailblazing for the rights of the homosexual community. He is not he's not really going against the oppression of a powerful institution, as in the Christian church in America, which is literally a church you can say anything you like about and you barely get any repercussions from it. There is no trailblazing going on here. He is not leading people anywhere. He's selling you shit. Like, I mean, my God. I mean, the marketing in music existed since the birth of rock and roll, when Colonel Parker went around selling badges. One say, I hate Elvis, and one says, I love Elvis. So you should be out there you should be doing the same principle right now. If you want to make some money, you should have two online shops. You know, one saying fuck libtards, and the other one saying fuck the conservative Nazi. That's the only way you're going to sell to everybody, is to completely contradict everything. You should be invested you should have shares in Fox News and in CNN. Like, because only a moron would not, you know? This stupid thing about having left and right and all this nonsense. If you go about your life and you haven't got any conservative values, and you go about your life, you haven't got any liberal values, what is wrong with you? Like, seriously. You know, you have to disagree with something because you want to follow this religion that you've created in your brain. Even though some ideologies are tied to religion, obviously, but you know what I'm saying. It's just stupid, and it's laughable that this is what we have to row about. You know, I mean, this is just such a watered down version of the 90s. It's fucking ridiculous. Look at this fly, man. Get on my face. It's a tragedy. Now, when it, you know, and part of the whole thing, you know, I can understand why people don't like the imagery of the devil being promoted like that, because, you know, back in the day it was a bit different, because we still kind of had religion was more popular in the Western world, whereas now it's dying out. You know, it's dying out. I mean, Islam's growing and Christianity's sort of, you know, descending. It's deflating. It's deflated. It's Mr. Deflator. And I do think, you know, when you look at, I can understand it when you look at a young man in a tight pair of shorts giving a lap dance to Satan, and a girl suddenly, you know, turns 18 and suddenly making pornography or to flog to young boys on the internet. You got to look at it and go, isn't this a bit much? Haven't we kind of lost our way a bit? Because there's a balance. Sexual freedom comes with responsibility, but they keep taking the responsibility away, which enslaves us even more. Sexual freedom has repercussions. That's why AIDS exists. You know, and I'm not saying AIDS was sent by God to punish us all for being naughty and for having a good time and anal sex. But AIDS came, whether you like it or not. And AIDS wasn't there when we were just a bit more mindful about where we were, you know, flashing our bits and shoving our schlongs, okay? Let's not forget this. Now we've got super gonorrhea. Incurable gonorrhea is going around this region. You talk about pus coming out of your penis and you can't fucking get rid of it. Okay? This is the balance of the fucking universe. Do you understand how this works? And there's people out there who think you can just go super crazy one way and just be so liberal and be so free and run through the fields with 16 dicks up your ass going, you know, just sniffing poppers and injecting heroin into your eyeball and saying, look at me, how free I am. You can't. That's not what freedom's all about. Freedom's about responsibility. Freedom's about shit coming to bite you on the ass. But unfortunately out there, you don't have freedom and you've got someone always to look after you until they decide to stamp on your genitals when it's pay up time. There's no such thing as a free lunch, you bloody morons. And at the same time, you don't want to be so super conservative you're the other way. You look at someone's ankles and you feel like you need to whip yourself with a belt, saying 50 Hail Marys, going, oh my God, those ankles. You know, you don't want to be seeing two boys kissing in public and being so against it that you go over and chop their heads off with a chainsaw. You know, you've got to be, this is, you know, I don't like middle of the road stuff, but when it comes to, you know, I like extreme music, I like many extreme, I don't like extreme sports. I think that's naff. Who uses that word these days? I like football and tits. Because, by the way, I'm straight. I just thought I'd announce I'm straight. Did I tell you how straight I am? You know, I like extreme stuff, but you've got to maintain some sort of balance. And there is, you know, there's just something that we still have. I still have it. As crazy and as fucked up things have, there is still my instinct and my gut feeling about things. And with the Danile Bregoli thing, something in my gut goes, ooh, there's something there. It's hard to articulate. And it's hard. And in order to, I can't just sit here and keep talking about it, like having an argument and a conversation with myself. This is something that, to get to the root cause of what is right and what is really wrong, and it takes a lot of discussion. You know, it does. On the one hand, it's okay, really, who cares? But on the other hand, like, we've fallen far. We're in the gutter. We're in the gutter. And everyone is emotionally crippled. And we're enslaved. you know. But that's a story for another time. Right? If you want to do something ballsy and you want to sock it to the man, and, you know, there are plenty of ways you can do that. There's nothing edgy about Lil Nas X. There's nothing edgy about it at all. Right? This ain't the 90s no more. To be edgy, you would just have to be a musician who says you vote conservative. That's where we're at now. And that, you want to cause outrage, that's the way you go about it. It's bizarre. What a bizarre land, you know. But if you're one of these people who's going around applauding, going, oh yes, suck it to them, Lil Nas X, in your little booty shorts. It's like, the majority of people don't care. Like, what, some outraged lunatics on Twitter? That's what we've got to gauge everything by. It's funny, man. You know, like I said, we're back to the night. We've repeated the 90s in the space of 1 week. And yet, it's a really shit version of the 90s. And I'm very disappointed in it. You know, the 90s, I don't want to be one of these people that lives in the past and goes, oh, the 90s was so great, the 90s were great, but it was really good. It really was. The 80s, nah. The noughties, nah. The 90s, though, like, it's not like I love everything from the 90s, but like, I swear culturally, we were kind of okay. I mean, there was still all the bullshit that we're still dealing with now, but like, for the most part, Joe and Jane average, everything was kind of in its place, you know, and that's kind of why it was kind of interesting to see this happen, you know, but it's like a pale imitation, like a Hollywood remake of a European classic, you know, or a Japanese film, you know, when a Hollywood tries to remake everything that was big and popular from another country and they just do it shit for the most part. They've had a couple of successes. A couple. You know? It's like that. It's a cheap Chinese knockoff from Guangzhou. That's what it is. How unfortunate. But, you know. If you did sign up to Danile Bregoli's OnlyFans, you know, we know you were waiting to. Just admit it. That's it. I mean, I don't want to get into the whole thing about age of consent and all these things, because do you know what? Like, you can be very open-minded about it, and you can be very thoughtful. And you know, in my experience and from where I grew up and stuff, there's many ins and outs and different things to consider and different things to talk about and blah blah blah. But I tell you what, all you do, that's one subject that's really fucked, and it's getting weirder and weirder as well, because the lines are getting blurred. You know, we're now reaching a stage where Dr. Umar Johnson may have said something that was correct, and that guy's a proper grifter. So we won't get into it. It's just too much. It's too much. It really spins people out and causes way too much outrage. I mean, you think people get? I mean, well, I guess it is going the other way. And you think people get outraged about racism? Jesus Christ. Go to a council estate and announce your love for a 12-year-old and see how long you last. You're going to go, I mean, they won't be burning shops, they'll be burning you. So that's why it's a subject that you've got to be, it's not a subject for Joe and Jane average, let's put it that way. You know, there's certain subjects that a lot of people like to touch on that they shouldn't without thinking about it correctly. Do you see what I'm saying? But everyone loves to talk like I do. But it will be a subject that I cover, amongst other subjects. For members-only content on my beautiful website. That's right. If you want to go over to my beautiful website and sign up, click notification. It's a good way to do it. Or sign up to the main list. Because then you get to see extra content. And when the membership content finally starts dropping, there's going to be some super crazy stuff on there. Stuff that only you will be allowed to see, because you, to commit to that, should be a non-nutter. Okay? You can be crazy, you can be a weirdo, but not a fucking nutter weirdo. There's a difference, okay? But these are the kind of subjects that deserve to be covered much deeper, you know? There needs to be a big discussion about certain things. Anyway, enjoy Danile Bregoli's OnlyFans and your $1,000 pair of satanic shoes with blood in it, or like one drop of blood. Enjoy that.
Satan, 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 Satan.